Jason Doc Parsons has seen the harsh images of the Iraq War up close, but he has seen another type of image of which many are unfamiliar.
Inside of a ammo dump area. It's an office building. On the side of the wall, there's this painting of a lighthouse with the beach. It looks like somebody just took this off of somebody's house inside America and it placed it there. It's almost like just a little piece of home right there in the middle of the desert. That's what kind of most of these soldiers do, is they bring a little piece of themselves and they put it on these T-walls out here, and then that's like their mark on the world. But it's also for them too. It reminds them of home.
Parsons has seen not only paintings, but also cartoons and murals of war zones. An ex-combat medic who deployed to Iraq in 2005, he has begun the Graffiti of War project, collecting the art created by servicemen and women in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Kuwait. He originally relied on service members to send in photos of their art, but with the drawdown of forces in Iraq, Parsons decided to go right to the source. I spoke with him about the project from Basra, Iraq, where he is currently collecting images with the military's permission. Thanks so much for your time. So, when and how did the project begin?
It all started kind of like a brainchild of mine while I was on deployment in Ramadi, Iraq, in 2006 with the 54th Engineer Battalion. We had toured a few different bases doing convoy logistical patrols, and all of us were sitting around talking about all the art that we saw and how soldiers should document it. Of course, things change, your life kind of gets in the way, and deployments and everything else. I got out of the Army in 2009. Didn't really do anything with it. And then the spring of 2010, my wife and I decided that we were going to start this project up.
So, was there one specific moment then that made you decide to begin the project?
In late 2009, I had gotten out of the military, and I've been diagnosed with PTSD and TBI, which is a mild traumatic brain injury. And so I think getting out of the military was it was difficult for me to go straight into the civilian world. One of my teachers, he was my English professor. He was helpful to me during my school time, and he always said that, you should start writing more. And my psychiatrist told me that I needed like a hobby, something to keep my mind busy while I go through PTSD and MTBI. Well, I remember when I wanted to do this, my wife was like, this is something that you've always wanted to do. You've always wanted to write again. And so that's kind of how it came about.
So what is the range of art and also emotion that you've seen?
As far as emotions goes, you really get more of a sense of that inside like porta potties, inside of areas to where they can remain a little bit more anonymous. You could see different scrawlings when things are going really rough. Why are we here? You get some of those, or you get impeach Bush, or take me home. I wish I was back home. I have no friends. I'm all alone. Stuff like that.
Have you participated in creating any of these images? Was it something you found therapy in?
I did do one inside of a porta potty as like a tribute to my wife before I left Kuwait. It was my first deployment. I just got out of EIT and I was nervous. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and she was back home pregnant. We just got married and we hadn't been apart before this, so it was difficult for me. I wrote a little tribute just to get a little bit of the emotion out. I think that's kind of what we're trying to hit on. Not only is this a different type of history book, but then it also kind of promotes art as therapy, which is something that we feel is very therapeutic for a lot of people that have PTSD, MTBI, and even outward wounds, physical wounds such as amputations, burns, and perhaps this might help ease some of the burden of the mental and emotional stress of it all.
And what about the people not in the service? What do you think showcasing images to the public, what kind of power could that have?
I think it shows a different side of the war. It's just a unique perspective for the public to see instead of the usual CNN. This is, the body count, or this is, who got hurt this time. Kind of a more individual state that the public can see that perhaps they haven't seen before.
Are there any other images that really stick out in your mind that would be good to share?
Golly, there's so many.
I bet.
I really like the one that has Will Ferrell, him as an anchor man, and it says "Stay classy, Iraq." I like that one because it kind of brings some humor. I know in 2006 when I was here, it was a lot different. It was a lot more rough. There was a lot more combat, and as a combat medic, it was difficult to deal with some of the injuries and everything else. So any type of comic relief that we got was well taken. We really needed that.
That's something that's hard to imagine, and I think many Americans would agree with that. since we have less than 1% of our population serving in these conflicts. So, what do you think is at stake when Americans are disconnected from the wars?
I'd say it's an entire generation of people that have gone out there and sacrificed some sort of themselves, whether it be their entire lives, the ones that don't come back, and the ones that do come back, they're never the same. There's such little regard for patriotism, discipline, and I don't know how you couldn't look at them as superheroes, because that's exactly what they are. And I think that the closer each community gets to these men and women when they come home, and these guys will come home to not just open arms, but to understanding. That's, I think, what's really counts, is that understanding. So the more people could be like that, I think it'll bring our nation closer together, definitely.
Parsons explained that the project will also cover the civilian side of the conflicts through their art, and foresees Graffiti of War potentially expanding to cover other conflicts, including the Arab Spring. For now, though, Parsons and his partners will continue collecting images, finishing with Kuwait and Iraq this summer, and moving on to complete Afghanistan's roundup next summer. There are sure to be many sights along this journey.
These soldiers are going to look at this book and remember, the memories of fallen friends, or maybe the memories of their first time when they were young and had to go out here and do this. It makes me kind of proud that we're able to do this with this book, to help people kind of remember what it was so they don't forget.
To see some of the images or get involved with the Graffiti of War project, visit their website at graffitiofwar.com. For War News Radio, I'm Eliana Biscard Church.